reimagines the building blocks of computing reviews. Algorithms, the chunks of code that auto-programs to sort, filter, and combine data, among other things, are the standard tools of modern computing. Like tiny gears inside a watch, algorithms execute well-defined tasks within more complicated programs. They're ubiquitous, and in part because of this, they've been painstakingly optimized over time. When a programmer needs to sort a list, for example, they will reach for a standard sort algorithm that's been used for decades. Now researchers are taking a fresh look at traditional algorithms, using the branch of artificial intelligence known as machine learning. Their approach, called algorithms with predictions, takes advantage of the insights machine learning tools can provide into the data that traditional algorithms handle. These tools have, in a real way, rejuvenated research into basic algorithms. A and conventional calculations are two considerably various approaches to registering, and calculations with expectations is a method for crossing over the two, said Peter Indy, a peer researcher at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. It's a method for consolidating these two very various strings. The new blast of interest in this approach started in 2018 with a paper by Tim Preskes, a peer researcher at MIT, and a group of Google scientists. In it, the creators proposed that they could further develop an all-around concentrated uncustomary calculation called a Bloom channel, which takes care of a direct yet overwhelming issue. Envision you run your organization's office and you really want to check assuming your workers are going to sites that represent a security risk. Probably, you could think you'll have to check each site they visit against a boycott of known locales. In the event that the rundown is tremendous as is reasonable the situation for unwanted locales on the web, the issue becomes cumbersome. You can't check each website against a gigantic rundown in the minuscule measure of time before a site page loads. The Bloom channel gives an answer, permitting you to rapidly and precisely look up whether a specific site's location or health is on the boycott. It does this by basically packing the colossal rundown into a more modest rundown that offers a few implicit certifications. Sprite channels never produce misleading negatives, assuming they say the site is terrible, it's awful nonetheless. They can create bogus upsides. Maybe your representatives will not have the option to visit a few destinations they ought to approach. That is on the grounds that they some exactness for a gigantic measure of information pressure, a stone called lossy pressure. The more that Bloom channels pack the first information, the less precise they are, however the more space they serve. To a straightforward Bloom channel, each site is similarly dubious until it's affirmed to not be on the rundown. In any case, not all sites are made equivalent. Some are more probable than others to end up on a boycott, just in light of subtleties like their space or the words in their role. Individuals comprehend this instinctively, which is the reason you've probably read OS to ensure they're protected before you click on them. Preskes group fostered a calculation that can likewise apply this sort of rationale. They considered it a learned Bloom channel, and it joins a little Bloom channel with a repetitive brain organization run, and a model that realizes what malignant tools resemble in the wake of being presented to countless protected and perilous sites. At the point when the learned Bloom channel checks a site, the run acts first and utilizations its preparation to decide whether the site is on the boycott. Assuming that the run says it's on the rundown, the learned Bloom channel rejects it. In any case, in the off chance that the run says the web page isn't on the rundown, then at that point the little Bloom channel gets a term, precisely yet carelessly looking through its compacted sites. By putting the Bloom channel toward the finish of the interaction and giving it the last say, the scientists ensured that learned Bloom channels can in any case ensure no misleading negatives. But since the run pre-channel's genuine upsides utilizing what it's realized, the little Bloom channel acts more as a reinforcement, downplaying its misleading upsides also. A harmless site that might have been obstructed by a bigger Bloom channel can now move beyond the more exact learned Bloom channel. Actually, Krask and his group figured out how to exploit to demonstrate it, however customarily separate approach to moving toward a similar issue to accomplish quicker, more exact outcomes. Preskes' group showed that the new methodology works, yet they didn't formalize why. That undertaking tumbled to Mitchell Mitzenmacher, a specialist on Bloom channels at Harvard University, who observed Preskes' paper imaginative and energizing, yet additionally essentially subpar. They run tests saying their calculations work better. However, what precisely does that mean? He inquired, how would we know? In 2019, Mitzenmacher set forward a conventional meaning of a learned Bloom channel and dissected its numerical properties, giving a hypothesis that made sense of precisely the way in which it worked. What's more, while Krask and his group showed that it could work in one case, Mitzenmacher demonstrated it could continuously work. Mitzenmacher likewise further developed the learned Bloom channels. He showed that adding another standard Bloom channel to the interaction, as time before them run, can pre-channel negative cases and make the classifier's occupation simpler, and at that point demonstrated it was an improvement utilizing the hypothesis he created. The beginning of calculations with forecasts have continued along this recurrent track, invented thoughts similar to the learned Bloom channels, roused thorough numerical outcomes and understanding, which thusly lead to all the more novel thoughts in the beyond a couple of years. Analysts have told the best way to join calculations with forecasts into booking calculations